As a reminder, this is a public meeting and is being recorded. For those of you calling in, please ensure that you have muted your phone line by pressing *6. Thank you. First, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner O'Grady.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. I understand that 9/11 passed this past Sunday, but I still would like to take a moment to reflect on the anniversary of the deadliest terror attack on U.S. soil. Why families of 9/11 victims gather on Sunday to commemorate their loved ones, I am reminded of our duty to educate new generations on the impacts and sacrifices of that day. May we never forget what transpired. An inhumane attack that resulted in the loss of 2,977 lives and 6,000 injuries. It prompted entry into a new war, transformed our national security, transportation, government defense, and deeply affected all Americans in profound and far-reaching ways. As Americans, Ohioans, and residents of Franklin County, it is our obligation to recall the shared sacrifices of so many then and now, and to honor their memory in the work that we do. We are a resilient nation when we are united, and it's up to every American who gets up each day and live our lives without fear in pursuit of justice, equality, and liberty, and to remember those who rushed into danger 21 years ago. How we conduct ourselves as individuals, as a community, and as a nation is an opportunity to live up to the sacrifice of all the heroes that we lost that day. I speak usually every 9/11 anniversary at the Veterans Memorial and Museum and at the State House. I was at the State House this year. I didn't have a chance to go to the Veterans Memorial Museum. I had a conflict, but I talk about being on active duty in the Navy that day. And what called me to service in the first place was in October of 2000, there was a terrorist attack that happened in Yemen that two people in a little boat came up to the USS Cole and blew a hole in the side of the ship. And I lost sailors that day. And so that called me to service. I enlisted in the Navy in October and deployed and left for basic training in December of 2000. And I had just got off a watch the very next year at 5 o'clock in the morning on the 11th, and remember having my coffee and watching the news like I do every morning, and witnessed, when it was breaking news, there was already a plane that had hit one of the towers, and that, like all of us probably that day and what we were doing on that time, will forever be etched in our memory. It's just like yesterday. I can smell the coffee. I can remember watching TV, but I can also remember going back to watch that day. I was stationed down in Nick Tam's land, so I was supporting all communication assets for the whole Atlantic Fleet, and I was just proud of the work that my fellow sailors and others did to move ships out of port and into the water within just a couple of hours, which is a Herculean effort, if you can imagine. But as I was proud to be a service member at that time, and then later on, obviously, going into war for Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom, I think about the people who rushed into danger. I think about those first responders who went to the buildings to try to save as many lives as possible. I think about the heroes that were on the plane that tried to take back their plane that ultimately went down in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. I think about the people who we lost in the Pentagon, but also that was on that plane, and folks that just got up like a normal day and went to work, or was traveling to see family or on vacation, who would never come home again. And so I will never forget, I know my colleagues on this board will never forget, and we will always honor the lives of those who left us that day. And one thing I want to say before I ask my colleague if he has any words of reflection, that time after 9/11, we absolutely did come together as a country. It wasn't Republicans and Democrats. It wasn't red and blue. It was like one nation. And I would love to see that unity again without a tragedy. I think it's needed today. At that time, we looked at our country, and it was the vulnerability, the threat to our liberty, to our freedom, and that's kind of we're having those same conversations today. It's just my hope that in that moment of being proud to be here and to serve a country and to be able to come together with one shared vision, that is my hope for the future of this country, again, without having to have a tragedy. So thank you.
Following Commissioner Crowley, who was in service at the time, I feel a little less than. I was here at the courthouse that day. I was the clerk of courts back in late 2001, and we were in senior staff that morning, and in a conference room, no windows, just senior staff was in there, and the knock came at the door and told us what was going on, and the first plane hit the building, and we were like, wow, that must, we didn't know, we weren't watching TV, so we didn't know we thought, boy, that's odd, so we just kept going on with our meeting, and then another knock came at the door and said, another plane. So then all of a sudden we knew something serious was up, and we left the meeting and went out and started figuring out what was happening, and we kind of jumped into action a little bit, tried to figure out how do we address this, as administrators and as a staff, and began working with county administration and the commissioners. The county handled it, I thought very well. We had Commissioners Shoemaker and Commissioner Stokes and Commissioner Kilroy at the time. I went upstairs, began working with them. We went to skeleton staff so that staff could go home and be with their families. Obviously, people were very worried and afraid because the plane that ended up crashing in Shanksville was near Cleveland at the time. If those of you that are old enough to remember, remembered that the reports were that there was a fourth plane that was near Cleveland at the time. And so there was a lot of concern about whether, what was the target of that plane. And so, everybody was in contact with their families. I just had this conversation with my kids on Sunday, as we do every year pretty much on 9/11, because they were either too young to remember what was going on that day, or too young to remember that day, or they weren't born yet. And so we generally have the same conversation every year, or a similar conversation every year, about what 9/11 was all about and the importance of remembering the day. But I was really proud to be an elected official and a member of the county team back then, because everybody kind of just jumped into action. And for us, it was about allowing we had 228 employees in the clerk's office, and we allowed the vast majority of those people to be able to go and be with their family that day, because that's all everybody was thinking about was, the country was under attack, and they wanted to be with their families, and so we were able to keep the office open, to be able to continue to serve, the prosecutor's office, to be able to serve the court, to be able to serve the customers, the auto dealers in the county, but at the same time be able to allow folks to be able to go and spend time with their families. And so people were pretty pleased by that. My wife wasn't happy because I was still here. She wanted me out of the courthouse. She wanted me home with my family, but everybody else was able to get back and be with their families, and so, but just another example of county government, frankly, county government responding and dealing with something that nobody had ever dealt with before. Just like over the last few years when we've responded and dealt with the pandemic that nobody had ever dealt with before. So.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Next, we have a recognition for Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. Anyone that knows me knows that I take every opportunity to be a passionate advocate for better mental health care. And with that in mind, September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. Too often, residents are experiencing suicidal crisis or mental health related stress without the proper care and support they need. Sadly, the pandemic made a bad situation worse when it came to mental wellness. There are numerous urgent realities driving the need for mental crisis intervention, but with the launch of a new, easy-to-remember suicide lifeline available 24/7, 365 days, there is hope. As of this summer, if you are someone you know struggling with thoughts of suicide and a substance use crisis or experiencing emotional distress, help is available from a trained counselor by calling or texting 988 or chatting at 988lifeline.org. 988 serves as a universal point of entry so that no matter where you live in the United States, you can reach a crisis professional. Studies show that most callers feel significantly less depressed, less suicidal, less overwhelmed, and more optimistic about speaking after speaking with a mental health counselor. It is my goal to ensure that every resident has access to the resources and help they need to not just survive, but to thrive and to mentally succeed. So please remember 988 when you or a loved one is in need of mental health support. And for more information about this and other mental health support resources, visit the National Alliance on Mental Illness website at NAMI.org. And we also have our Incredible Minds platform. That's always a resource. And I just want to remind folks, and not like you don't know it already, but I just want to underscore that we don't know what it looks like when somebody's struggling, or with suicidal thoughts and ideation. Somebody could be smiling and laughing and joking, or they could be sad and depressed. And so you just never know. And so I always ask people to be kind to others, to give grace. And it's okay to not be okay, but please seek help if you need it. The month of September is also Hispanic Heritage Month. So this morning I want to take a moment to acknowledge and mark the contributions of our more than 75,000 Franklin County Hispanic friends and neighbors. Our residents represent a growing population of individuals. 5% in Ohio and 17% in the country identify with their Spanish-speaking heritage. Starting September 15th and running through October 15th, we recognize National Hispanic Heritage Month by highlighting the impact of our Hispanic communities and the history, culture, and traditions of our country. This month marks a time the people and businesses of this community are encouraged to celebrate their roots and origins. To learn more about how you can participate and celebrate National Hispanic Heritage Month in Central Ohio, go to Ohio Hispanic Coalition's webpage at www.ohiohispaniccoalition.org. And the coalition is located on 1535 Bethel Road, where Columbus and Franklin County recipients they have funding for an initiative for 2022. The Franklin County Board of Commissioners proudly recognizes the unity of all Hispanic people and their contributions to this great country on the eve of Hispanic Heritage Month, and I wish everyone a joyful celebration. And then last but not least, for our recognitions, we have National Service Dog Month. National Service Dog Month is celebrated every September and takes place to show appreciation of our four-legged friends who play an important and significant role in the lives of our friends and neighbors. Service dogs are more than just pets, since they have been trained to take care of humans suffering from certain ailments, disabilities, or mental health issues. Their sole purpose is to aid their companion and make their lives easier and more accessible. This is why it is important to honor these hardworking pups by recognizing and acknowledging their immeasurable contributions. Here to help show our appreciation for service dogs in Franklin County is Auditor Stenziano's Director of Consumer Services, Malika Bartlett. Thanks for being with us this morning, Malika. If you have some words, please go to the podium and share anything about National Service Dog Month that you think we should know.
Good morning, and thank you for allowing me to represent Auditor Stenziano. September is Service Dog Awareness Month, and these dogs, as you said, Commissioner Crawley, do good things for great people, and the things that they do are just unimaginable. And I can only imagine if I needed one, how special it would be to receive one of these dogs who are trained for months on end. And not all dogs make the cuts, surprisingly. So sometimes the dog, it's just a pet, and sometimes it's a superhero. So on behalf of the auditor's office, I thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for all the work that you all do in recognizing service animals and service dogs. They definitely, they're life-saving.
Yes.
Literally, they are. So we would like to present you and your office with a resolution for my colleagues and I, and we could take a photo in the middle. And if there's others from the auditor's team, which I see some, they can come and join in the photo op. All right, on to the regular agenda. If I could get approval of the minutes for the August 30, 2022 general session and the September 1st, 2022 briefing session.
I'll move approval of the minutes?
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes,
Thank you. The minutes have been approved.
thank you. First up, we have domestic relations.
Resolution number 65622, resolution authorizing contracts for attendance services with Canal Winchester, Gahanna Jefferson, Groveport Madison, Hilliard, New Albany Plain Local, Reynoldsburg, and Southwestern City Schools in the amount of $220,598.
Morning, Commissioners. Julie Troth, Deputy Director of Programs. This resolution is requesting the approval of 7 contracts with school districts for truancy intervention. The school districts will reimburse the court for 50% of the salary cost for each truancy officer. The Truancy Intervention Prevention Program reduces formal court filings related to truancy by partnering with Canal Winchester, Gahanna Jefferson, Groveport Madison, Hilliard, New Albany, Reynoldsburg, and Southwestern City to address attendance barriers by providing resources and services to youth and families in Franklin County. The truancy officers participate on absence intervention teams to address attendance barriers, violations of attendance policies, and strategies to overcome those barriers. In the 2021-2022 school year, 1,772 youth and families were referred to the program, and only 139 required formal court intervention. Pending any questions, the court requests the approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 65622.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes,
Resolution number 65622 has been adopted.
thank you. Have a wonderful day. Next up, we have engineer.
Resolution number 65722, Report 12th of the Franklin County Engineer establishing sums of compensation for a portion of the owners of property abutting the Elliott Road and Hayden Run Road Drainage Improvement Project, Brown Township and Washington Township, Franklin County, Ohio, in the amount of $7,222.
Good morning, Commissioners. Nick Soulis, Government Affairs Liaison for County Engineer Cornell Robertson. Commissioners, this first resolution seeks compensation for one property owner at the Hayden Run Road, Elliott Road Drainage Improvement Project. This is to reconstruct the Joseph Carr ditch by repairing and replacing drainage tile and upgrade roadway drainage along Hayden Run Road. This property, we negotiated with the property owner, and compensation is based on appraised fair market value. So pending any questions, we seek your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 65722.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes,
Resolution number 65722 has been adopted. Resolution number 65822, preliminary allocation of county motor vehicle license fee $5 funds for the city of Worthington in the amount of $448,500.
The City of Worthington has submitted a request for the license fee funds to pay for the improvement of the intersection of Huntley Road and Schrock Road in the City of Worthington. The county engineer has reviewed the proposed use of funds and has determined that they meet the allowable use. So pending any questions, we request your approval.
There are no comments or questions. I'll move approval of Resolution 65822.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 65822 has been adopted. Resolution number 65922, resolution awarding contract and approving contract bond to Miller's Brothers Construction Incorporated for the Rural Road at London Groveport Road, State Route 317 roundabout, in the amount of $4,229,793.99.
Commissioners, this next resolution seeks to award the contract and approve contract bond to Miller Brothers Construction for the Rural Road at London Groveport Road roundabout improvement project. As was stated in the title, this project is funded in part by OPWC dollars, approximately $1.9 million, and ODOT safety funding in the amount of $1.1 million. It's located in southeast Franklin County and Madison Township, and we seek to upgrade the existing intersection with a modern roundabout. Miller Brothers was selected via the competitive bidding process with a bid opening in August.
There are no comments or questions. I'll move approval of Resolution 65922.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 65922 has been adopted. Resolution number 66022, resolution awarding contract and approving contract bond to Miller Cable Company for the traffic signal installation 2022 in the amount of $670,250.
Commissioners, our final resolution seeks approval of the contract and contract bond to Miller Cable Company for a signalized installation improvement project. There are three intersections that we are proposing to improve: Hilliard and Rome Road at Beacon Hill Road, Gantz at Dyer Road, and Pontius Road at Rural Road. Miller Cable Company was selected via competitive bidding process. It's a locally funded project, which means the engineer's EBE program has been implemented. Our goal was 12%, and based on the utilization plan, Miller Cable Company anticipates exceeding this goal, and we're very proud of that. So pending any questions, we seek your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 66022.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 66022 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners, and thank you for both your kind words and your thoughtful words on the anniversary of September 11th. That's very moving, and for those of us that were here that did experience it, it's very powerful. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. I appreciate you. Have a great one. Next up, Sheriff's Office.
Resolution number 66122, resolution authorizing a contract with Franklin County Children's Services for police protection at its office locations within Franklin County in the amount of $1,510,000.
Good morning, Commissioners and County Administration. Albert Smith, Assistant Finance Director for the Sheriff's Office. Our office has two resolutions for you this morning. Our second resolution will be presented by Dave Masterson and Major Kelly Keys. Looking at our first resolution, it approves a contract with Franklin County Children's Services to allow the Sheriff's Office to continue to provide police services at their various office locations around the county. The contract term is August 1st of this year through July 31st of next year. In addition, the contract will cover the services provided by 9 sheriff deputies. Pending any questions, I request passage of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 66122.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 66122 has been adopted. Resolution number 66222, resolution authorizing a 1-year software as a service agreement with Cordico Incorporated in the amount of $49,929.26.
Good morning, Commissioners. Dave Masterson, Director of Administrative Services for Sheriff Dallas Baldwin. This resolution authorizes a software as a service agreement with Cordico Incorporated This will allow us to offer a mobile wellness app to our deputies that's geared towards supporting first responder mental health and physical health. It is being purchased through a cooperative contract with Insight Public Sector, and it will be for 1 year, starting September 13th, 2022, pending your approval. And with me today is Major Kelly Keys of our Support Services Division to answer any questions that you may have.
Can I get a motion?
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 66222.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 66222 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one. Next up, we have Board of Elections.
Resolution number 66322. Resolution authorizing supplemental appropriations for election-related expenses from the May and August primaries.
Good morning, Commissioners. Anton White, Director, Franklin County Board of Elections, seeking authorization of supplemental appropriations for election-related expenses. This resolution will cover $1,540,000 to support our operations and to meet necessary expenses for personnel costs, poll worker recruitment, training and pay, and materials and services for expenses that were incurred during the May 2022 primary election, as well as the second state-mandated August primary election that was held on August 2nd, 2022. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval.
There are no comments or questions. I'll move approval of Resolution 66322.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 66322 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anton. Have a good one.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Next, Emergency Management Agency.
Resolution number 66422. Resolution authorizing a contract with Bold Planning Incorporated for the delivery of a continuity of operations and continuity of government plan and plan software module in the amount of $38,488.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jeff Young, representing Franklin County Emergency Management and Homeland Security. This resolution is to approve a contract with Bold Planning Incorporated for services related to developing and documenting a continuity of operations plan for the Board of Commissioners, the Franklin County Administration, the Franklin County Data Center, and Franklin County Emergency Management and Homeland Security. As part of our work to create resilient and prepared residents and communities, a continuity of operations plan, or COOP, and associated continuity of government plans are intended to help ensure that no matter the scope of incidents or disasters, agencies and officials are resilient and prepared to continue to provide critical government services. Bold Planning provides a facilitated planning process to assist the participants in documenting staff, their roles, and their operations into a platform that is accessible to update and maintain, as well as to access and implement if routine operations are interrupted. While the initial one-year contract is focused primarily upon county administration, if the process and the finished plan is evaluated to also be beneficial and is desired by other county agencies, it can easily be expanded. I'll gladly answer any questions and ask for your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 66422.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 66422 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Have a great one.
You too.
Thanks. Next, Child Support Enforcement Agency.
Resolution number 66522. Resolution authorizing the execution of a subgrant agreement with the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services to receive funds under a pass-through grant to enhance visitation parenting time between children and non-custodial parents in the amount of $45,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Didn't think my video was going to be working, but it looks like it is. Good morning, Commissioners. Susan Brown, representing the Child Support Enforcement Agency. Our resolution requests your approval to enter into a sub-grant agreement with the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services in the amount of $45,000 This project funding is provided by a grant award from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, grants to states for access visitation programs to enhance parenting time between children and their parents. The funding flows from HHS to the state, and this sub-grant agreement establishes the terms and conditions for the receipt of the funding. The Child Support Enforcement Agency will use these funds to establish agreed parenting time orders using a professional mediator. Additionally, we are requesting your approval for the county administrator to sign any subsequent sub-grant agreements to continue to receive this funding. Pending any questions, I request that this resolution be approved.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 665-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 665-22 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you later, Director Brown. Next, we have community partnerships.
Resolution number 666-22. Resolution authorizing a COVID-19 recovery grant to the Affordable Housing Trust of Columbus and Franklin County to assist in establishing the Emerging Developers Accelerator Program in the amount of $5 million.
Good morning, Commissioners. County Administration, Curtis Brown, Community Partnerships Coordinator. This resolution will be providing a COVID-19 recovery grant in the amount of $5 million to the Affordable Housing Trust of Columbus and Franklin County to assist in establishing the Emerging Developers Accelerator Program. The Emerging Developers Accelerator Program is a minority developer cultivation and training program designed to create pathways to development careers for groups who have historically faced barriers. And I did have some information, Commissioners, following up on a briefing session, conversation. The payment schedule has been updated in the grant agreement. So an initial payment of $1 million will be provided to the Housing Trust upon approval of the agreement, with additional payments to be provided every 6 months. And the subsequent payments of $1 million will not be made until the respective mid-grant status report for the prior 6 months period has been reviewed for compliance and approval by the Board of Commissioners through a purchase order resolution. So I wanted to make you aware of that change in the grant agreement. And also joining us this morning, we have from the Affordable Housing Trust, joining us virtually, we have President and CEO Lark Mallory, and we also have with us in person today the Director of the Emerging Developers Accelerated Program, Tynesha Harden, who's with us today to answer any questions. I do know that President Mallory did want to share a few words if she's online. So I will turn it over to you, President Mallory.
Thank you. Yes, I'm here. First, Commissioners, thank you for 20 years of partnership with us. As you know, during that 20-year period, we have made loans in excess of $260 million for over 200 projects, creating over 13,000 affordable housing units. And while we all know that affordable housing is at the forefront of the conversation, we also know that there is a lack of diversity in those in the developer ranks. This program is specifically designed to provide education to women and people of color, and also to provide access to capital. We expect that the grant from the county will be essentially run the same as your Capital Magnet Fund grants are, but will be focused on smaller developers, developers of diverse backgrounds. We expect them to bring on more smaller units. We don't expect them to immediately build us 100 units, but they will increase our density in the area. And we also know that is a hindrance to the number of units we can bring online. We're excited. The initial cohort has started, and we already have several projects from them under consideration for loans right now. I'm available to answer any questions you may have about the program, and I do know that Tynesha Harden is there in person as well.
Yeah, thank you, President Mallory, for that. Obviously excited about the program. have supported it since a concept. And so thank you for being bold enough to be innovative, especially in this space at this particular point in time. I just have one question about, or two questions, but one, how many people do you currently have in your, in this initial cohort? And then the second question, how many cohorts do you think you'll, are you anticipating, over the program years?
Yes, thank you. And thank you for your support. You have been extremely supportive since I first raised the thought of this program. Our cohort is designed for 15 people. Since this is our very first one, we only selected 10 people. And part of the reason why we want a smaller class is so that we can have a lot of one-on-one time with each individual member of the cohort. We are supporting the educational aspects of the program with a grant from JP Morgan Chase. This grant from the county will be specifically for units.
Okay.
And yes, to answer the second part of your question, we expect to have 2 cohorts per year.
Okay, great. Thank you.
President Mallory, thanks. The partnership we've had with the Affordable Housing Trust has been, we had stated earlier, it's been 20 years, but we appreciate this particular grant because while we have a large shortfall of affordable housing, we need to address that. We also need to continue to address the diversity issue. So this is important. We're glad we're getting this particular issue off the ground. And so thank you for your work here.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Grady, and thank you for your support for the trust and for this transition and leadership as well.
All right. If there's no further comments or questions, I will move approval of Resolution 66622.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 66622 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Resolution number 66722. Resolution authorizing a COVID-19 recovery grant to Service to assist low-income hospitality workers in Franklin County, alleviate immediate financial burdens, provide training opportunities, and ensure sustainability and equity in the workplace in the amount of $50,000.
Commissioners, this resolution will be providing a COVID-19 recovery grant in the amount of $50,000 to Service Relief for Hospitality Workers. This funding will assist low-income hospitality workers in Franklin County to alleviate immediate financial burdens, provide training opportunities, and ensure sustainability and equity in the workplace. And joining us this morning from Service, we do have Executive Director Sangeeta Lakhani, and also the co-founder and advisory board member Matthew Higgins to answer any questions or if they would like to approach the podium to speak.
Good morning, Commissioners and County Administrators. We just wanted to say thank you for your continued partnership and assistance. The work we've been doing at the Cafe Overlook has been transformative for a lot of the people that have been participating. We're excited to use this additional support to continue to move forward with what we're doing with the original mission of Service, which is to provide emergency relief and professionalization of our industry. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. The proof is literally in the pudding at the cafe, so we really appreciate this partnership. But we do have to realize our goal that there are people outside of the people we work with in this industry in Franklin County that have already been in the industry for years and that are lacking the support that they need. So if we can use this grant to raise funding even more for the existing workforce and give them the support they need. We see a lot of emergency hardships that they go through. So if we can provide that on an ongoing basis, that would be really helpful to shift this industry as a whole. But thank you for everything you've done so far. We really appreciate you.
Absolutely. I think, especially when it comes to Cafe Overlook, it has definitely been a labor of love for you all. And DCA Long has kept us all up to date on the successes, the challenges, and the continued conversation on making sure that the workers are supported, that you all are supported. So I rave about the food, the customer service, and then just this workforce development program. I'm asked about it all the time. And so I'm excited that we have this partnership and happy to continue to support you all, as well as the employees, and understanding that they come from all different backgrounds and experiencing all kind of challenges, just like our neighbors right here, and that we try to support every day. So we would do the same for the people that are interacting with us and the others that we serve. So thank you. Absolutely.
Well, the folks obviously can't say enough about Cafe Overlook, and so, but I gotta be honest with you, when I saw, this resolution come through for service, I don't say this too often to the folks who, come sit in my office to ask for funding. Every once in a while, my staff will see this, and it's a little bit shocking. But when I saw the request for $50,000, I thought, not asking for enough. So when you come back, when you come back next time, you need to ask for more. And the reason I say that, as the former restaurateur, as a recovering, as the commissioner likes to call herself, a recovering legislator. I'm a recovering restaurateur. I'm a recovering restaurant owner. I know I pay very close attention to your industry, and I meet with a lot of folks in your industry and your business, and I know what the pandemic has done to your industry, and I know how much people are hurting right now. I know how much business owners are hurting and how much your employees are hurting, and I know what the need is in the community across the board, and what you're doing with service, and what you're doing is tremendous. It's phenomenal. It's unbelievably much needed. So we are rooting for you, hoping for your success, and hoping that you're going to come back and ask us again.
Well, now that I know, yep.
Keep working.
Commissioner O'Grady, President Crowley, they note taking. We meet almost weekly. So, but in all seriousness, though, this is a transformational partnership. Even though we're only 5 months in, we've learned a lot of lessons in this short period of time, and it's one of the things that I'm proud to be a part of its creation as county administrator, because it really is going to continue to bear fruit. The employees, the customer service, and they're learning a skill that they're going to be a part of the community's economic growth, and they will grow as individuals. Because as you all know, the hospitality industry is one of those key industries in Franklin County, travel and tourism. Just this weekend, we will be hosting over 4,000 guests with an ICMA conference, the International City County Managers Association, and with the second tower, the Hilton, we need there'll be hundreds of new hospitality workers, and we've had at least one person that graduated from this program and will be working in one of those 3 new restaurants in Tower 402. So it's, we've been learning along the way. There's any positive work is hard. So I just appreciate the patience that you all have had with Deputy County Administrator Long and myself, because we always making points, asking questions. I asked about a coffee club just a couple of days ago, so.
I'll join it. I'll join.
Well,
Thank you.
Sorry.
Oh, Commissioners, I just wanted to add too, and thank you for all the comments. We will be back in front of you not too long with another Cafe Overlook specific resolution. But I just wanted to reiterate, while service is involved in both, this resolution itself, as Sangeeta and Matthew mentioned, is for that underlying work that hospitality workers are doing. And I really have learned through this whole process of working with service of the transformational work that Matthew and Sangeeta and Letha are really trying to do to make the service industry, which is an honorable industry, be able for someone to thrive and survive, as you say, Commissioner, in that industry, and educate all of us that it is not possible to get a really great burger for $1.99 and have it be locally sourced and healthy for one. Or a burger at all, as Jody Lease would say in our Thrive On department. But at any rate, I just wanted to reiterate the great work we're doing, and we'll be back in front of you a couple of times in different ways for service. But thank you for your support on this labor of love. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you for your patience with us, and we're really humbled and honored to even be standing here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, I just want you to know that when you cut the ribbon back in the spring, I wasn't available. I was having that fantastic cuisine up at Ohio State University Hospital. So terrible. But I was indisposed, we'll say. But the work that you guys have been doing, both at Cafe Overlook, but in particular this work with service, it's crucial to the industry. It's crucial that you're setting this example here, and that we are able to help you along with it. We're hoping that it's going to be an example for the rest of the industry, and that the mark that you guys are setting here hopefully will be something that, once again, like a lot of other things that we do here in Franklin County government, we'll be able to use this as a template and show others that this is something that can be done elsewhere. So thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you so
We
much.
appreciate you.
All right, if there's nothing else, no other comments or questions, I will move approval of Resolution 66722.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 66722 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Next, we have Economic Development and Planning.
Resolution number 66822, resolution authorizing a grant agreement with Impact Community Action to provide rental and utility assistance to residents in Franklin County in the amount of $10 million.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Jenny Snap, Chief Operating Officer with Franklin County Economic Development and Planning, and I'm proud to bring forward to you this resolution. The county desires to reduce the number of homeless individuals and to continue to provide affordable housing to those in need. Under this agreement, Impact Community Action will provide rental and utility assistance, as well as housing stabilization services to as many as 2,600 households, individuals, and families impacted by COVID-19 while working to identify solutions to housing challenges faced by those residents in Franklin County. The households served are anticipated to consist of clients who are either at or below 80% of the area median income based on their last 90 days of household income, and have also experienced adverse financial impacts during or due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The average amount of assistance per household will be approximately $3,500. This agreement will be supported by funds awarded to Franklin County by the U.S. Department of Treasury through the Emergency Rental Assistance Program in the amount of $10 million. For the record, these are reallocated funds from the state of Ohio, and additionally, the city of Columbus has also received $10 million of reallocated funds from the state, which will go directly to Impact, and their legislation has run concurrent to ours and was passed last evening. Impact Community Action is the main provider of rental assistance in Central Ohio and has experience identifying solutions to housing challenges faced by residents. They have demonstrated that they have the ability to distribute funding and leverage partnerships. To date, they have served 30,000 customers and distributed over $80 million to keep community members in their homes. The Board of Commissioners have funded impact and emergency rental assistance dollars prior to this resolution in the amount of $8,261,084 with 3 prior resolutions. In total, with Franklin County Emergency Rental Assistance Funds, nearly 2,600 households have been assisted thus far. With the additional $10 million, this figure will at least double. I'm happy to announce that Shamikia Smith, Vice President of Housing Programs at Impact Community Action, is in attendance to speak on behalf of the meaningful work that Impact Community Action is doing to assist families and individuals in Franklin County.
Good morning to each of you, to Commissioners O'Grady and Crawley, to County Administrator Wilson. I'm Shamika Smith, the Vice President of Housing Programs for Impact Community Action. Thank you for such a great partner in Jenny Snap, a true champion in the fight. Thank you again for the opportunity to continue to serve our neighbors in Franklin County. Impact's mandate is to fight poverty. What we've seen throughout this pandemic over the last 2 years with neighbors in our community is that families need assistance as they attempt to navigate what is being called the new normal. Since March of 2020, we've had the privilege of serving 30,000 neighbors with emergency rental assistance and utility assistance. While everything around us has increased, including the cost of living, emergency rental assistance gives our neighbors the ease of returning to work and school while also maintaining the necessity of housing. We want to see our neighbors not only survive this pandemic, but also thrive. Every day in our offices, we see over 80 neighbors who are in need. Our neighbors deserve housing and opportunities that maintain stability and prevent homelessness. Thank you for the opportunity. Impact Community Action stands ready to serve.
Well, thank you. We always appreciate the partnership with Impact. We've been partnering for quite some time, and over the last couple of years, it's just continued to increase, and so we appreciate everything you guys do. If there's no...
Yeah, no, I was just going to say thank you for all that you all continue to do, and thank you, Jenny, for, always being a champion in this space. I was at the White House, Commissioner O'Grady and I both were at the White House last week talking about ARPA dollars and the bipartisan infrastructure law, CHIPS Act, and then the Inflation Reduction Act. I had the opportunity to sit on a panel with Jean and Mayor Pureval and some community leaders to talk about what we're doing here in Franklin County with ARPA dollars and Bill. And, one of the things I got to highlight and then have a conversation afterwards is about our emergency rental assistance. And how we're using it in multiple different ways, whether it's Franklin County Rise, whether it's Impact. And I know originally there was, earlier when ERA dollars was available, the media was saying folks can't get it out quick enough. There was like, is it, you're going to have to return the money. And we see how Franklin County, working with organizations like yours and Impact, at Impact, are, put the infrastructure in place to be able to support families and did everything that needed to be done to get the dollars out, to make sure that folks aren't falling into homelessness. We know that sometimes families are just one flat tire away, one health crisis away from spiraling and then being unhoused, right? And so, when we thank the state for reallocating these dollars down to us to be able to continue to support our neighbors and our families. As Chris said, that I always say, we have that every resident every day on our wall, and we live by that, but we absolutely make sure that our residents don't just survive, but absolutely thrive. So thank you again for all that you do and getting this, this money out and supporting our families, keeping them in their homes. Thank you.
President Crowley, I'll also like to echo the comments made regarding the value of our partnership with Impact. It is not just, the HOPE program has been a lifesaver for families. Tell me that the American Rescue Plan doesn't work for the 2,600 families that's been served, and you're looking to double that with this reallocation of funds to where over 5,000 families will ultimately be served, depending on how much each grant amount. But the efforts you all and your impact, no pun intended, does not end there. You all are a partner in the Roads to Work program, and that CDL program has been tremendous in giving people living wage jobs, giving them the infrastructure to thrive, as Commissioner Crowley always like to say. Without that infrastructure, you just can't do that. In a project that was near and dear to a lot of people, COO Jenny Snap worked on, the Otto Beatty Closet. That men's closet is gonna be continue to be valuable for men to be able to go into that job interview and have a sense of confidence. Because if you look like a champ, you can talk like a champ and act like a champ. It all begins with your self-esteem being built up by the way you look and the way you feel going into a job interview. So we value the partnership, look forward to continuing to work with you all in the neighborhoods and the community that you all are a valuable partner. Because we can take dollars, but we need community partners like yourself to be able to distribute those dollars. So thank you, appreciate everything you all are doing in your partnership with EDP.
If there's no further comments or questions, I'll move approval of resolution 66822.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 66822 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Resolution number 66922. Resolution authorizing the Board of Franklin County Commissioners to sign the attached discharge of mortgage instrument for Adrian Matthew Dolan at 3021 Upton Road East, Columbus, Ohio 43232.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Julissa Tiruchalvo, Administrative Assistant 2 for EDP. Today I have 4 resolutions to present. The first one is Adrian Matthew Dolan. He received on April 11, 2012 from Franklin County a home loan for $3,141.81 on real estate, commonly known as 3021 Upton Road East, Columbus. The requirements of the housing loan have been satisfied. The property taxes are paid and current, and I respectfully request the approval of the discharge of mortgage on this property.
There are no comments or questions. I'll move approval of resolution 66922.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 66922 has been adopted. Resolution number 67022. Resolution authorizing the Board of Franklin County Commissioners to sign the attached discharge of mortgage instrument for Daniel Gerbjan at 3033 Glenshaw Avenue, Columbus, Ohio 43231.
Daniel Gamarjan received on March 15, 2016 from Franklin County a home loan for $6,000 on real estate, commonly known as 3033 Glenshaw Avenue, Columbus. The requirements of the housing loan have been satisfied, and I respectfully request the approval of the discharge of mortgage on this property.
If there are no further comments or questions, I'll move approval of resolution 67022.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 67022 has been adopted. Resolution number 67122. Resolution authorizing the Board of Franklin County Commissioners to sign the attached discharge of mortgage instrument for Sharon A. Rife at 4965 Astoria Avenue, Columbus, Ohio 43207.
Sharon A. Rife received on February 18, 2009 from Franklin County a home loan for $15,000 on real estate, commonly known as 4965 Astoria Avenue, Columbus, Ohio. The requirements of the housing loan have been satisfied. The property taxes are paid and current, and I respectfully request the approval of the discharge of mortgage on this property.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of resolution 67122.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 67122 has been adopted. Resolution number 67222, resolution authorizing the Board of Franklin County Commissioners to sign the attached discharge of mortgage instrument for Chad Anderson and Lauren M. Young, also known as Lauren Anderson, at 4752 Glengate Drive, Columbus, Ohio, 43232.
Chad Anderson and Lauren Anderson received on January 6, 2014 from Franklin County a home loan for $15,000 on real estate, commonly known as 4752 Glengate Drive, Columbus, Ohio. The requirements of the housing loan have been satisfied and the property taxes are paid in current, and I respectfully request the approval of discharge of mortgage on this property.
There are no comments or questions. I'll move approval of Resolution 67222.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 67222 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You
Next,
too.
we have Job and Family Services.
Resolution number 67322, resolution approving a COVID-19 recovery grant with the City of Columbus, Office of the Mayor, Celebrate One for the Health, Equity, Innovation, and Birth Centers Initiative in the amount of $121,008.11.
Good morning, Commissioners. Vivian Turner, Chief Administrator for Franklin County Job and Family Services. Through its Health, Equity, Innovations, and Birth Center Initiative, Celebrate One seeks to expand access to more intensive and intentional birth methods, including doulas and midwives, to address maternal and infant health outcomes, while also creating a space to better meet the needs of mothers and children. In their initial strategic planning year, Celebrate One began initial partner engagement for the eventual implementation of community birthing centers. They created a community advisory board made up of women of color with lived experiences to help guide the planning. They also developed training for county prenatal health workers that addresses racial biases and incorporates anti-racist strategies. And finally, they completed a proposal for the Doula Gap program. During this second year, Celebrate One will focus on expanding partnerships to support future birth centers, work to develop an innovation hub model to coordinate and co-locate infant and maternal health services, and develop strategies to address challenges around transportation for pregnant individuals and new parents. The partners will also work collaboratively during this planning phase to develop long-term funding strategies. We have two guests from Celebrate One joining us virtually this morning. Aishan McKenzie, Director, and Ms. Whitney Gordon, the Project Manager. So I'll turn it over to Aishan if you'd like to make a few comments.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you, commissioners and county administrators, for the opportunity to share. I'm Aishan McKenzie, Celebrate One Director of Strategy, Policy Planning, and Innovation, joined by my colleague Whitney Gordon, our Senior Project Manager of Birth Equity. And we appreciate the county's support in this effort, along with the many other ways that the county has supported us in this work over the many years of Celebrate One's efforts. To share a couple of very quick notes specifically about this work by my colleague Whitney to share a few notes.
Good morning, Commissioners. I just wanted to fill in a few gaps on the work. Birth centers are defined as a space and a model of care, which typically extend across the preconception, prenatal, labor, birth, postpartum, and newborn periods. Studies have found that birth center benefits include lower preterm birth rates, lower C-section rates, higher birth weight, and higher breastfeeding rates. Additionally, regarding racial disparities, studies have found that birth center care is associated with the most reduction of negative outcomes and highest increase in positive outcomes for Black mothers. To date, Celebrate One has created an integrative review document of the most current medical literature on birth centers to share internally as well as with our key partners to increase collaborative learning of our efforts. We've met with several birth center leaders across the country to gain a better understanding of internal operations, outcomes, client demographics, as well as common threads in their successes and barriers. We've shared knowledge and initial plans with our key partners and stakeholders to obtain their feedback and help connect the dots. And currently, we are in the process of scheduling in-person site visits with exemplary birth center models in the Midwest region. Thank you.
So we truly appreciate the support in this area, and just wanted to, as I close, note a few of the other areas that we've appreciated the county's generous support. You've been supporting us on our Safe Sleep communication efforts, which have been very vital and allowed us to share through both traditional and social media, as well as a variety of other strategies and tactics to get the messages of safe sleep to our families. You just support us in distribution of cribs. We have distributed more than 1,100 cribs so far. We're on track to distribute about 1,900 this year, which will be the greatest amount we've ever distributed, and we do that in partnership with Columbus Public Health. In addition, we've been able to train 600 and nearly 650 safe sleep ambassadors. We're on track to train about 1,000 this year, which will also be the largest number of ambassadors and allies we've trained. And finally, you support us in our teen reproductive health education efforts. We're currently in 1921 Columbus City schools. With your continued support, we'll be in all of the Columbus City middle schools. We recently got reports back from our peer reproductive health education program. That's provided over this summer more than 660 hours of comprehensive training to peers. And for each peer that's been trained, are largely high school students. For each peer that's trained, they're able to share with about 135 other people through in-person meetings, one-on-ones, media and online opportunities. And so the total group have reached more than 21,000 people with the information they've received. So we appreciate the county's support, and would appreciate support once more in this effort. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ashawn and Whitney. I do have a couple of questions. One, Whitney mentioned, I guess, a report that was shared internally and then with key stakeholders, and was wondering if the county is a key stakeholder and if that report has been shared with us. I would love to see it.
We will make sure that that report gets to your office, Commissioner Crawley.
Okay, great. Thank you. The other question that I have is about the Innovation Hub model, and then any partnership that you all are having with the Ohio Office on Minority Health, as the director has been all across the state in implementing the Hub model. And so just wondering what that partnership looks like. And then she gets grants from the state to help the locals with the Hub model.
Sure. Thanks for the question, Commissioner. So the hub that we're referring to here is a little bit different from the Pathways Community Hub that's supported by the Office of Minority Health. What this is actually a community engagement model for working to plan for a specific geographic area, and working with the residents of that neighborhood and the other city, local government structures and service providers. All the services and supports necessary are accessible to folks within that community. So it's a brand new approach that we're taking it off of some really solid information and research, but also adds a few innovative strategies to further support communities. And it's really celebrate one's first step in the opportunity with this. Separately, we do work very collaboratively with a number of Pathways Community Hub providers within the community, most heavily with Physicians Care Connection.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for that. Well, I'm excited to learn more about this new model and how it impacts our families here. So those were all my questions. I appreciate you all being here, and thank you as always for the work that you do in this space. happy to be a partner now at the county, but definitely as I was in the legislature. So, looking forward to continuing to support the work that you all do.
Thank you so much. We truly appreciate it.
Sean Whitney, so as chair of the Large Urban County Caucus for NACO, we've been focusing on infant mortality and over the last year. When did we start all this work with the Infant Mortality Task Force? That was back in like 2013, 2014 maybe?
2014, correct.
2014, exactly. Administrator Wilson or Zach, if you're, and I don't know if you guys have this information off the top of your head, but can we get I didn't think of this until today. I should have thought about it last week when we were briefing this subject, but can we get an idea of how much over the last several years, how much money the county's invested in, anyways, when Commissioner Crowley was asking these questions, it was dawning on me, we have been, really good partner with this over the years. Back when we were doing the Infant Mortality Task Force previous to Celebrate One starting, we realized at the time with DCA Bivens' predecessor, Director Trotman at the time, that these were so much of this was going to be based on the clients that we have, and so we knew we needed to invest, and so I'm just curious how much over the years we've actually invested. I mean, it's $121,000 this morning, but I know that we've invested lots and lots of money in this over the years, and so I'm just curious. I'm sorry, Vivian, I apologize.
Yeah. Commissioner O'Grady, I think we've invested somewhere around $5 million.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yes. Kenneth Wilson, County Administrator, President Crowley, Commissioner O'Grady, yes. We joined this effort after we, over a 5-year period, I believe it was, funded in partnership with Nationwide Children's Hospital,
Yeah.
Better Birth Outcomes, and I believe that was a $7 million investment.
That was back in 2011. I
Yeah,
think.
so this has been
2010.
probably about a decade-long effort at least, and probably when you put all in, somewhere in the neighborhood, and it's probably, this is a low estimate, $15 million
Yeah.
through our various efforts.
I remember Council President Ginther at the time calling and asking if I would serve on the task force. So I knew it was previous to him being mayor of Columbus, and back when he was council president.
Yes, and we've been investing on multiple levels. We had funded a comprehensive communications campaign over a number of years, promoting safe sleep and other safe practices with that goal of getting a child to that first birthday.
That's right.
And in addition to that, we've looked at, comprehensive efforts to improve maternal health within Columbus neighborhood health centers as well. And that would be on top of the investments we're talking about now. So you all have been champions in funding these efforts. Deputy Administrator Janice serves on the executive committee of the Celebrate One effort on behalf of the board.
Well, I do have 2 call to actions for Celebrate One. I can't be here and without asking for their continued advocacy for House Bill 142, which is Medicaid reimbursement for doulas that had passed the House earlier this year. So when the legislature comes back in session, we can get it over the finish line in the Senate, which will provide access to doulas. Medicaid pays for more than 51% of the births in this state. And so for the work that they're doing at Celebrate One, and then the work that we support and fund, whether it's through Celebrate One or Franklin County Public Health, this definitely would increase better birth outcomes, but then also make sure that it saves lives. So, Sean and Whitney would love to have your support when General Assembly comes back together and making sure that gets over the finish line. And then the other thing that I have, because it impacts the work that you all do in this space, we do not have an updated PMR report or Pregnancy Associated Mortality Review report that was supposed to be published every 2 years. We've not had one since 2018 to say what is the direct and indirect causes of death, maternal deaths in this state. But then also it talks about by region, and then there's some recommendations on how to address those. Obviously, we know that birth centers are one way. And the support that are provided in birthing centers, which is why you have a birthing center coming online soon up in Cleveland to really get at their infant mortality rate, but also save lives for women. But it is unacceptable that we have a state that has not reported on the maternal deaths and the causes of those deaths recently, so we can see where we need to pivot or where we need to support folks and birthing people in this county. So as I'm advocating, or Lauren is advocating to the state to have that be released from the Department of Health, I would ask for you all as well and Celebrate One to advocate for the release of that data. I mean, because you need it and we need it. So thank you, and happy to support this resolution again.
If there are no further comments or questions, I will be happy to move for the passage of Resolution 673-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 673-22 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners, and have a wonderful Tuesday.
You do the same. Thank you. Next, we have purchasing.
Resolution number 674-22. Resolution authorizing second contract modification and extension with Leo Myers Incorporated for staff uniforms in the amount of $80,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Megan Perry Balanier, Director of Purchasing, and joining me is D'Amica Withers, Chief Economic Equity and Inclusion Officer for the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Commissioners, the following a competitive invitation to bid process in the fall of 2020, the county awarded contracts to two vendors, Leo Myers Incorporated and City Apparel Incorporated, for the provision of staff uniforms. Both contracts were extended for a 6-month period this past March. At this time, Leo Myers has agreed to extend their contract for another 6-month term. However, City Apparel has declined to extend due to supply chain issues and increased costs. The modification and extension with Leo Myers presented under this resolution would be in effect through March 14 of 2023 at an amount not to exceed $80,000. It would also modify their contract to incorporate all items bid under the original ITB, and it would allow for a 1.5% pricing increase. This contract is open to other county agencies who may place orders directly as needed. Pending any questions, I request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 674-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 674-22 has been adopted. Resolution number 675-22. Resolution approving purchases for various Franklin County agencies in the amount of $1,628,388.89.
Commissioners, this resolution requests your approval of 94 purchase orders for which the county auditor has pre-certified available funding. Chief Withers will provide the supplier diversity data for this week. Good morning, D'Amica.
Good morning, Megan. Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners and County Administration. Of the 94 purchase orders, 13 of those purchase orders are eligible for small emergent businesses as follows: 1 disadvantaged business, 2 minority business enterprises, 1 small emergent business, and 9 women businesses for a total of $91,034.50. The following agencies have increased their supplier diversity: Public Facilities Management, Treasurer, Domestic Relation and Juvenile Court, Court of Common Pleas, Job and Family Services, Engineering, and the Sheriff's Department. And pending any questions, we request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 675-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 675-22 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Next, we have Board of Commissioners.
Resolution number 676-22. Resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission for collection in the calendar year 2023 and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor.
Good morning, Commissioners. Zach Talerick with the Office of Management and Budget. This annual authorization and certification is required to be completed before the first day of October in each year pursuant to Section 5705.34 of the revised code. The certification does not include the levy for Office on Aging that will be on the ballot for renewal in November. Pending approval of that issue, an updated certification will be provided for your approval in early 2023. Pending any questions, would ask for your approval of this resolution.
There are no comments or questions. I'll move approval of Resolution 67622.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 67622 has been adopted.
Thank you, Zach. Madam Clerk, do we have any journalizations?
We do not.
Are there any members of the media who would like to ask questions or have comments? Hearing and seeing none, with no additional business coming before the board, we are adjourned for the day. Have a wonderful Tuesday.